The resignation means more changes in leadership at the St. Francis Xavier Catholic School System.
The Diocese of Green Bay telling Action 2 News Board Trustee Chris Wolski has stepped down from that position. It is the latest in a string of recent terminations and resignations. New at 5, Victoria Frazier joins us live in the newsroom with a first alert update on this. Victoria.
Cammie and Bill, this is the second resignation plus 2 terminations in about a month. In November, school system officials fired school principal Mike Mothy for violating a policy the Diocese of Green Bay calls our promise to protect. Superintendent Dr. John Revisa was also terminated for failing to meet reporting requirements, and now more fallout as Board of Trustee members Chris Wolski and interim President Katie Heim both stepped down. On December 4th, Board of Trustees Chairman Bob Ellis sent an email to parents saying the early resignation of interim President Katie Heim was accepted. Heim was working under a temporary contract with the school system until December 31st. This comes shortly after an open letter to the Board of Trustees was published online, along with a petition calling for Heim's resignation. It stated, quote, "We do not believe Ms. Heim is qualified to continue as interim president, either temporarily or permanently," end quote. The letter listed several reasons of concern, such as care of all students, failure to collaborate with the board, and significant financial consequences. We reached out for comment, and 2 of Heim's family members declined our request, but they did share their concerns on social media behind Heim's decision to resign. On Facebook, Heim's husband wrote, quote, "To be clear, Katie didn't resign because of a petition or out of fear, but because it was the right thing to do out of respect for the system and what is best for our family," end quote. And Outagamie County Executive Tom Nelson, who was Katie's brother-in-law, wrote on Facebook, quote, "Katie was unfairly scapegoated. Worse, she was hurt, perhaps permanently scarred, by the very community she serves and the church upon which she has grounded her faith and life," end quote. We reached out to the diocese today for an update about the investigation into Xavier's former principal, and a spokesperson says the diocese has completed their investigation into Mike Mothy. I also spoke with Appleton Police Lieutenant Megan Cash about their investigation into Mothy, which we reported on 2.5 weeks ago. Lieutenant Cash told me there is no update. Dr. Becky Walker, the diocesan superintendent of Catholic schools, will serve as the new interim president. The role is expected to be filled by July. The next school board meeting is scheduled for December 17th. Reporting in the newsroom, Victoria Frazier, Action 2 News.